If you've ever thought, I'm a really nice guy, but women don't seem to notice, you're not alone. A lot of men have been taught that being agreeable and accommodating is the best way to attract someone. The problem is, if you never show your real opinions or limits, it can come across less like niceness and more like there's there's something hidden, something that isn't honest. Attraction doesn't come from always saying yes, from going out of your way to accommodate someone or do nice things for them. It comes from showing who you are, what you enjoy, what you believe. And that doesn't mean being rude or arrogant. I'm not saying that. It just means having a backbone, a personality that's distinctive, having your own boundaries. And niceness works best, when it's paired with authenticity. If you're being thoughtful and you're comfortable standing in your own shoes, you're being yourself, then that comes across as genuine. But if that niceness feels like, that it is, you're trying to achieve something, right? So instead of asking why don't women want nice guys? Try asking am I being nice because I mean it, or because I want them to like me, or because I'm trying to get them to go out with me? Am I actually just being myself, or am I presenting a watered down version of myself because I'm afraid of being, rejected? And the thing is, this can be super counterproductive, because when people sense that something is just a little incongruent, they subconsciously put up a wall. It's like, and it's very subconscious, and it's subtle, but it's like if you're putting up a version of yourself that is nice, even if you can be a nice person, I'm saying you're not a nice person, but really going out of your way to do nice gestures to sort of earn favor with someone, that can feel less like actual niceness and more like there's some sort of motive to that nice behavior. And it's also important to recognize the difference between nice and kind. I think kind, something people really are attracted to, they feel, they sense. But nice is different. For example, you watch the news, you'll see some terrible crime committed by someone who was a pillar of their community, right? And it's always like, wow, they were so nice. They were a really nice person. And people will be like, yeah, they were just so great in all these ways. But nice is just a behavior, really. It's not the same as kind. And it's not authentic, and it's not thoughtful. It is often, it doesn't have to necessarily connect directly to who a person is, right? You may actually be nice, and you may act in a nice way. And you may be a very kind, nice person, but many people behave nicely in many circumstances, but aren't kind, right? Aren't thoughtful people. So I really think that this is a complicated, layered issue, but I think it's really important to ask yourself, are you actually being yourself? Are you hiding who you are? Is niceness a behavior you're trying to do, rather than focusing on just being a kind, thoughtful, thoughtful person, a good person, an authentic person, rather than I do nice things for people. I do nice things, but is nice like a description of who you are, or is nice like a verb? Is nice an action? and I think that's a subtle but very important difference. People may not be conscious that this is what they're doing, that they are seeing this and sensing there's a motive. They want me to be romantically interested in them. They're going out of their way in a way that doesn't feel natural, And you may have great intentions, but ask yourself what those intentions are. Are they to try to get people to like you, whether this is romantically or socially? And if that's the case, nice behaviors are probably not the best way to engage people socially or romantically. It is always better to shift away from that and more into showing up respectfully, but showing a personality, showing things you're interested in and being yourself. Having a backbone, having an opinion. That is not to say, oh, like women like guys that treat them like crap. There's this sort of black and white mentality that I hear a lot of. It's either I'm a nice guy, no one likes me, and women like men who are mean to them. But like most people are in the middle. And it's not about liking someone who's mean to them. That's actually that's the extreme, the most extreme version of people like people really who are themselves, who have a personality, who have opinions, who have thoughts, who have history, who are colorful people, and somebody who will disagree with you, right? That is what people react most positively to because it feels authentic. Obviously, there are some people who go for people who treat them badly, but that is certainly not the majority of people. So just really do some reflecting on if the niceness is driven by a motive that maybe other people are picking up on subconsciously. And if you could maybe scale back being nice, behaving nicely, doing nice behaviors may actually be hurting you. And that isn't me telling you to be rude. That is completely different. Don't be rude. Don't be disrespectful. It's about just, being kind, being thoughtful, being respectful, and being yourself. Having opinions, backbone, showing it. I don't mean this to be judgy. I hope this is not judgy because it's not what I'm trying to do. I'm actually trying to give you more confidence and permission to try actually showing more of who you are, because that is the thing that people will connect with the most. More than some sort of airbrushed, perfected exterior that you may be trying, I'm a nice person, I'm a nice guy, I do things for people and they're not noticing, and or they're not liking it. Maybe that's because it feels like that's not actually who you are, but that is you're trying to achieve something through nice behaviors. It is a normal thing to think, and in small doses, it can be effective, but not as like an everyday trait, right? It can come off as like inauthentic or performative at some point. Like they do these things for me. I don't know why. It feels like they want something from me, essentially. And that doesn't feel good or feel quite right, because in true friendship or, in true connection between people usually isn't that way. There's give and take. There's ways you click and don't click, and all of that is part of that process of feeling each other out and connecting, rather than one person kind of becomes another person's white knight or hero or just like servant, right? I bring you in a lunch, or I make sure this thing is done, and I always come by and ask for the thing. It becomes almost submissive in a way that feels like, what is this about? So I would love to know what you think. It's a very layered issue. It's a very, very layered thing. And there's many aspects to it. It's hard for me. I can't talk to anyone's particular situation here. And there's many that I'm not obviously maybe touching on, many situations, but it's just something to think about. That difference between being nice and being kind, understanding that being nice isn't about being good. Those are different things. And people kind of know that subconsciously. So nice behavior isn't always the best. It really is often not the best way to actually create real connections. And the more you can kind of learn to stand on your own 2 feet and develop who you are inside on the outside, it can typically be the better pathway to connection. Let me know your thoughts.